So I'm just getting back from the Castaic Anglers Marine Customer Appreciation Tournament, where my team partner and I were real fortunate enough to win the tournament. And so I wanted to do a recap of how we were able to win the tournament. And again, thanks goes out to Anglers Marine and the family over there. They do a great job. Rick Grover, Cindy Grover, the whole crew over there, Jordan, Kyle. And so I'm going to be talking about some of the baits and techniques that we use today. We went up to the lake last Sunday and put in about 4 hours of fishing. As soon as we launched the boat, we were able to catch fish, and we realized that the techniques that I'm going to talk about today were really working. So there's really no sense in going back to the lake or spending a whole day on the lake. Plus, the lake's down 100 feet, and it's really important to know that there are tools out there that'll help you with your practice before you ever get on the lake. And that's really what I'm going to focus in on today, and how I use Navionics really to start practicing before we ever got to the lake. And I'm going to show you the spot that we actually won the tournament off of, which is a spot that I found on my Navionics chip using the app on my phone and my iPad before I ever got to the lake. It winds up being a point that drops off to where the creek channel bends in to an underwater island. Well, what would be an underwater island if the lake was still up? But since the lake's down 100 feet, the island was about 2 feet outside of the 2 feet from being out of the water. And there were a lot of boats that fished this point, but I feel my partner and I were able to catch the fish off of it while others didn't, for two reasons. One, we really knew what the bottom looked like. It wound up being about a 10-foot break and then a vertical cliff on the outside of this spot, and it'll be real simple and easy to see when I show you on my Navionics chip. But let me talk about the baits that we used. We were primarily using worms, plastics, like this fused point 4.4 from Missile Baits. And the key is, a lot of guys were drop shotting, and we were doing what is called the dick rig, or the rig, which really consists of putting a nail in whatever your favorite plastic is, and I'll show you some other plastics. This is a typical nail weight from Lunker Lure, and basically what I did is I cut off about an eighth portion of the nail weight, and you just insert it inside of whatever your favorite bait is. We also use an O-ring or some kind of plastic that'll hold the hook from rotating back into the plastic, and I'll show you how that works. Caught most of these fish using a Team Daiwa either Zillion rod or Steve's rod with a ballistic Daiwa ballistic reel. 6-pound test. Castaic is a highly pressured lake, so we're primarily using 6-pound tests. The thing about the Daiwas, and there's a lot of great rods and reels on the market, you know, just use one that's good. But the thing about the Daiwa is the drag is real smooth. So when you're using this 6-pound test and you're hooking 5 or 6 pounders, you really want to have a reel that has a smooth drag. But let me show you how we were fishing these baits. This is the other outfit that I was using. Again, same reel, Daiwa ballistic. This is a Steve's rod, and we were using a lot of different baits, but primarily baits that were nail rigged. And again, a lot of guys out there drop shotting. Nail rig is also a finesse tactic that works when fish are up shallow or even if they're deep. This works down to about 25 or 30 feet of water. So basically, I have a Gamakatsu split shot hook. This is a 1/0. You see how that hook goes into the bait when you're using that O-ring, and it basically just allows you to save more baits, but also allows that hook to get a good hook set or better hook set into the bass when he bites. And basically that's it. You know, you throw this bait up to whatever cover or to the bank or to the bluff. In this case we were fishing a bluff, and you just let it go down and then you just shake it. And we caught about 4 or 5 limits. We went behind people all day and catching fish, and that's primarily because most guys are out there drop shotting. Not a lot of guys know about this bait. It's been around for a long time, or this technique rather. And again, it's very simple. You just put a nail weight into your favorite plastic worm, same bait that you would probably drop shot. We use an O-ring to hold the hook. You just insert the weight into the head of the bait, and you throw it out, and this thing kind of spirals. You get a lot of bites on the fall, but it's subtle. So on the drop shot, the bait is up off the ground, and the fish get conditioned to that. In this case, the bait's on the ground, you're shaking it, and you get a lot of bites. I'm going to show you the exact spot that we were fishing over the weekend. And it's important to know that I'm going to actually upload all these spots onto navionics.com. And so if you have a Navionics card, you should be able to go on to navionics.com and get the freshest data based on the trails that I'm actually going to upload onto navionics.com. And again, we do that using a SIM card. So here's a shot of the actual spot I was fishing. My team partner and I were fishing during the tournament, and it's waypoint 140. And you'll see right away, based on the contours, again, this is the Navionics chip. This spot does not show up on the base map or the map that comes in the Lowrance. It only shows up on the Navionics chart. Spot 140, basically with the water being down, would normally be a hump, but it was about 2 feet out of the water. You can see based on the contours that there's actually a curve in the creek channel that hits this spot. So most of the guys were fishing. Let me zoom in real quick. Most of the guys were fishing the actual hump, which you can see right here. We have our waypoint right on the edge of the hump. But as you can see based on my trails, the fish were actually on the break. And this is where the creek bends into the hump, and we caught most of our fish where you see the GPS trails. We weren't the only anglers that fished this spot. Most of the anglers came in and threw at the obvious shallow water, but there's actually a break that goes from 2 to 10 and then from 10 to 30 feet of water. And those fish were actually positioned in that secondary break, which was from 20 to 30 feet of water. We pretty much threw our baits into about 15 feet, and most of the bites came from 20 feet of water. So again, I'm going to upload these spots actually onto the Navionics website. I'm going to take my Navionics SIM card and upload those spots, and it's a very simple thing to do. I'll show you how to do it real quick. So as I mentioned, I'm going to upload all of my trails from the Castaic tournament so that there's more up-to-date, fresh data on the Navionics website for the Navionics map of Castaic. And it's very simple. Here's a regular SIM card. This happens to be a Navionics SIM card. You can use whatever SIM card is available. You put it into the port. In this case, I'm using a Lowrance HDS 12. Put the SIM card into the port. You're going to hit your menu key. You're going to hit Files, Waypoints, Routes, Trails, Database. I'm going to export. It automatically recognizes the card. I'm going to change the file so that Navionics can actually use it to improve the mapping for Castaic, which in this case, it needs to be in GPX or GPS Exchange. I'm going to export the file. Memory card bottom. Of course, I don't want to use the top. In this case, my Navionics card is actually on the top, so it's automatically recognized the bottom. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit New to name. I'm going to go back. And I'm just going to simply name this after the lake that we were at, which in this case was Castaic. Hit enter, and it's uploading all of my trails, not my GPS points, but my actual trails from that day, so that the engineers at navionics.com can actually use the data to make a more current map of the lake. Takes about 5 or so minutes. It's done. I close. I open my port, and basically now I take this SIM card to my laptop, go into navionics.com, and I'll upload all of that data, and I'll show you what that looks like. So again, we've got our SD card that we've uploaded the trails from the Castaic tournament. You can use any standard SD card. This is a Navionics SD card, a Navionics card reader. You can use any card reader or SD card. In this case, I've uploaded the trails and data from my Lowrance HDS 12 in the GPX files onto this SD card. And now I'm going to show you all how to upload the data and how easy it is to access the freshest data via navionics.com. So I'm going to plug the card reader into my laptop. Sometimes at this point it will automatically recognize the Navionics. If not, then you just open up whatever browser. Now I've already loaded the chart plotter onto my laptop. If you didn't load the chart reader onto your laptop or your desktop, it would prompt you, but you go to the right corner, downloads and updates. It automatically recognized me, but if it didn't, you'd basically just be able to log in and create a username and account just as you would with any email service, and I'll show you real quick. You'd be able to click login. In this case, I already have an account. If you didn't have an account, it would prompt you to create an account here. In this case, I already have an account. It's going to take a couple seconds to detect. You can save the password if you'd like. What we're doing again is downloads and updates, and with a Navionics Plus card or a Premium or Platinum Plus card, any card, you get access to the freshest data for a year. After a year, it's $99. And basically what that does, there are folks like myself all over the country that's uploading their data from their electronics, doing sonar logs, where you have the up-to-date information on the lakes that you are fishing. So in this case, I'm going to start the process. You can do my sensor depth is, you can just hit I don't know, save. It's actually converting my sonar logs or those GPX files from my Lowrance to the appropriate files that the Navionics engineers can use to update the map of Castaic. You'll notice how quick this is. It's a couple of minute process. Sonar is updated, uploaded, go home, and that's pretty much it. The other neat thing about navionics.com, if you've never been there, you get access to a free web app, which I'll show you the same lake that we went to, which is again Castaic. This is how I prepare for my tournaments at Castaic. I'm going to take you to the same spot where we won the tournament at Castaic, and I actually found this spot using the Navionics web app. And actually, here is the spot that we won the tournament on. And again, you can go back in, and what it was is again a hump that the channel ran into, and most folks were fishing that hump, but the fish were on the breaks. And because of the contour lines that you get from using an Navionics card, we were able to use our electronics and actually find the fish, and all the pressure was actually on the hump, and that pushed the fish off of the hump, and it wound up being a vertical break to the left side. And I showed you all that when we actually looked at the spot of the GPS mark on my Lowrance. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we use Navionics. In about a week or so, I'll get an email from Navionics saying that the logs that I upload have been added, and you can come to the web app navionics.com and see a more detailed version of this hunt. Hopefully these tips I've given you today will help you catch more fish. Enjoy yourself out there. Be safe.